All right, let's begin with some breaking news coming in. 5 civilians killed in Devta village in Balkote area of Poonch after Pakistani troops opened fire along the LoC. During the heavy shelling, 5 members of a family have been killed while 2 other members have been injured. Pakistan resorted to heavy shelling and firing at 7:40 a.m. this morning. They are specifically targeting civilian areas. That's the input that we are getting right now. Indian forces, the security forces, are also in the process of giving a befitting reply at the same time, trying to save the civilian lives as much as possible. Our reporters have been reporting on the ground, from the ground, and saying that the entire attempt right now of the security forces is to ensure that the civilian casualty is as low as possible, because this firing which is happening right now along the LoC is happening on the civilian areas, the villages and the people who live along the line of control. My colleague Ashwini joins us this morning to give us more details. Ashwini, you just told us some time ago that the entire attempt of the security forces right now is to ensure that the civilian casualty is kept under a check.
Yeah, Pakistani started shelling and firing at around 7:40 a.m. early in the morning in the Devta village in the Balakot area of Winder, and one of the Pakistani shells fell on the house of the Chaudhry Mohammad Ramzan, his wife, 2 sons, and Mohammad Ramzan died on the spot, and the 2 daughters are critically injured. And shelling and firing still going on. Army said that we are giving a befitting reply to the Pakistani shelling and firing. There is a flare in all villages on the line of control in the Balakot area. Yeah.
Also give us more details about the sort of counter operations which are happening right now, and what are the steps that the security forces are taking as far as the civilian population in the area is concerned.
The people of the villages, they have been told not to move out of their houses because the Pakistani shelling can hit them again, and they have been told to take a precautionary measure, and they should be inside the houses, because this Pakistani shell has fallen into the house of the Chaudhry Mohammad Ramzan when his family was inside the house, and they were targeted, and there 5 people were killed. Yeah.
And actually, even earlier, back in the month of February, 23rd February, was also the date when we saw similar sort of shelling in the Uri sector, in the Balkote sector, and many other small villages along the line of control. So this is a persistent border strategy which is being deployed by the Pakistan.
Yeah, this is a strategy from the Pakistanis that they are not able to send the Pak-trained terrorists from the line of control, and no, they are targeting the civilian areas, and that is the reason that today 5 civilians were killed, and they are continuously targeting the people who are on the line of control.
Right.
And like same in the Uri sector or in the...
All right, Ashwini, stay with us. I've got Mr. Raj Kadian, Lieutenant General Raj Kadian, who's a defense expert, to give us more details and perspective on the story. So thank you so much for speaking to us. A persistent strategy which has been deployed by the Pakistan as far as the civilian population along the line of control is concerned. Give us a sense and perspective. The diplomatic ties are already worsening, and the situation on the border as far as the ceasefire violations are concerned is only aggravating with time.
The only strategy that Pakistan has, if it can call this strategy, because that's a very respectable term, is to destabilize India, is to keep launching terror attacks, keep killing civilians, women and even school children on the line of control. This is not a strategy. It is very difficult to deal with a country which is as irresponsible and as unpredictable in creating violence as Pakistan is. Their ultimate aim is to internationalize the Kashmir issue, which they've been trying for the last 70 years. They're desperately trying to escalate the situation both through terror attacks and on the LoC to draw the world attention. But I think today the whole world understands Pakistan's designs, the whole world understands that they have been involved in nurturing and funding terrorism. The Financial Action Task Force is already on their backs, and I think in June they will be declared a grey state, which is going to hurt them tremendously on the economic front. But Pakistan, which is being ruled by the Pakistani general, does not see any logic in whatever it is doing.
Mr. Kadian, stay on with us. I'm also joined by our executive editor, Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, as Mr. Kadian is saying, this is indeed, if one may even call it a strategy, an entire attempt to destabilize and internationalize the entire issue of Kashmir. But he raises a very pertinent point about the global economic pressure, which is by every day increasing on Pakistan. But this LoC and the ceasefire violation, and especially the casualty of the civilians and the security personnel, is only rising by the day, Gaurav. All right, we'll try and fix that line with Gaurav Sawant. He'll give us more details and perspective as to how that is spanning on the ground. Mr. Kadian continues to be with us. Sir, the economic pressure that you're talking about, the global economic pressure, how far do you think that would be successful as far as containing this offensive of Pakistan is concerned? The everyday ceasefire violation, the casualties on the border of the security personnel and also the civilians. How far do you think the soft economic pressure could help in getting Pakistan on the table and stop this entire offensive on the border at least? All right, we'll try and get that link with Mr. Kadian, Major General Kadian, who's a defense expert. He's giving us more details and perspective. But what's interesting is that these ceasefire violations have increased about by 200% in the last 1 year. At the same time, the casualties of the civilians and the security personnel have also been on the rise. The diplomatic and the economic and the international pressure on the state of Pakistan has only been increasing with time. Mr. Kadian is back with us, and sir, I wanted to get a perspective from you as far as the economic international pressure is concerned. How far do you think that will be successful in ensuring that Pakistan stops this international sort of the terrorism hub that it has become in the past few days, and also the sort of offensive that we are seeing on the border? Can the economic pressure have any sort of correlation with what we see happening in Kashmir right now?
If Pakistan is indeed put under economic sanction, the result is going to be the FDI, whatever is coming into Pakistan, will dry up. The banks that are operating, foreign banks in Pakistan, like Standard Chartered has 116 branches.
Right.
They may shy away and close their branches. But then the negative side is that they will be pushed further into the Chinese lap. Chinese will be happy with it, and Pakistan ultimately will become China's ownership. It is a vassal state that Pakistan is heading for.
Right.
It will become another Tibet, because China already has invested $60 billion odd, and they have a stranglehold on Pakistan economy. If the world body puts some sanctions, then China will have a field day. They have a free day. Nobody else is there in the market of Pakistan. It will only China and China.
So stay on with us. Brigadier Mahalingam also joins us for giving his perspective on this story right now. So thank you so much for speaking to us. More civilian casualties on the border, and this offensive on the border continues as Major Raj Kadian was pointing out. Despite the economic pressure, this offensive on the border continues. What is it that you make of this entire way that the LoC is right now, with the increasing number of instances of ceasefire violation, and especially the increasing casualties of security personnel and also the civilians?
See, the point that we need to understand is, and as far as Pakistan's military is concerned, economic sanctions make no difference.
Right.
In fact, and as far as they are concerned, whatever is their budgetary demand, they put their finger on, and that you get the. And in addition to that, they have a huge business empire running under the Pakistan's military. Over 50 major companies which are making tremendous amount of profit, and they have no problem with the finances at all. Therefore, there is no link between what the economic sanctions are and what Pakistan's military is doing, either in India or, for that matter, in Afghanistan. The Pakistan's military will continue to do this because they have their aims and objectives very clearly cut out, and in conjunction with what is happening inside the Pakistan Valley, in the Kashmir Valley, as also their plans to infiltrate people across, their trouble at the border will continue to exist. This cannot be avoided. The only method that we have to do is to make sure that Pakistan is targeted, their LoC, their army is targeted, and they are kept under total pressure.
Brigadier Malingam, a very short question to you. As far as the US sanctions on Pakistan is concerned, the cut that they were talking about, the aid which is given to Pakistan, you also think that that is also not going to have any sort of implication on the entire way Pakistani army has conducted itself? Because you see that economic sanctions will make no difference. How do you see the recent move by the United States?
It's going to make a lot of difference to the Pakistan as a country.
Right.
It is going to make a lot of difference to the Pakistan establishment who are required to juggle with the amount of money that they have. It's a very serious problem in as far as Pakistan is concerned. But in as far as Pakistan's military is concerned, they are not concerned at all. What they need is they are getting, their budgetary amount is getting. Even this money which was coming from Pakistan, from the United States, for the coalition support fund, they were never audited by the civil authorities. It went to the Pakistan's military and they spent it the way they liked. And that money also, it is being speculated that the money was also being used for terrorism both against India and Afghanistan.
Right. Sir, stay on with us. I'm also joined by Colonel B.N. Thapar, who speaks to us this morning. Sir, more news coming in of the ceasefire violations in the Poonch sector. There's heavy shelling which is happening. And unfortunately, 5 civilians are killed right now. Despite the economic sanctions, the international pressure, the situation on the border and the LoC continues to worsen by the day. These instances continue to increase by the day.
I've heard about it. It's not only 5 people who have been killed, but there are others who are also hit, injured, and maybe more people are dead. The point is that Pakistan is doing all this to add to the problems already existing in the valley. So what happens is that all these people will look for sheltered places down below, and there will be another big problem for the government. So this is a deliberate plan which is being carried out, because if you recall, only I think 10 days ago or 7 days ago, they had announced on loudspeakers for the people to leave the bordering area. So there is a deliberate design to clear a belt of people, civilians, so that movement and other activity can go undetected. But we have no alternative but to give a heavy punishment to them to stop this thing. Even if it means the defense minister has said, or rather the home minister has said, that we have told the army to even cross the LoC and deal with this kind of a situation. So unless we are very proactive, they will keep on taking. Now this is not Hafiz Saeed and all. This is the regular army of Pakistan that is doing it. So we must take cognizance of it and respond.
Right. So just stay on with us. I'm also joined by Ravinder Raina from the BJP. Mr. Raina, thank you so much for speaking to us. The casualties along the line of control increase by the day. 5 civilians are dead. That's what the news which is coming right now. More are injured, and the entire pressure on Pakistan though continues to increase through the diplomatic channels and also on the international forum, but the situation on the border continues to remain tense.
Right, you're absolutely right. Pakistani forces once again violated the ceasefire agreement and targeted the civilian areas in Balakot area of district Poonch in Mendar areas. This is the area where I belong to this area, and I know for last 1 year Pakistani forces repeatedly violating the ceasefire agreement, and particularly they are targeting the civilian areas, and there is a massive migration from the border areas in Naushara sector, in Sundarbani areas. More than 5,000 people even today are living in the camps established in Naushara town. And see, for last 2 days there is a heavy shelling all across the LoC in the district Rajouri and Poonch, and it's been a very unfortunate and cowardice act of Pakistan, in which 5 of our civilians got killed in Balakot sector of Mendar in district Poonch. This is an attempt of Pakistan army and Pakistani terrorists to create anarchy in one sector of LoC in Jammu and Kashmir, so that they may get some of the terrorists infiltrated into the Indian territories. They are just trying to divert the concentration from another area so that terrorists may be
Mr. Raina, however troublesome your alliance with the PTP may be, but the truth is that they are your alliance partners right now. This provocation and the offense on the border continues at the same time. There are repeated attempts to push in terrorists in the Indian territory. The J&K state government has been repeatedly talking that there should be more dialogue and more discourse with Pakistan. Both should sit on the table. What is your take on it? Do you agree? Despite this repeated assault on the border that we see these repeated ceasefire violations?
See, even during the assembly session, when many of our coalition partner leaders and very senior functionaries, they used to advocate to have a dialogue with the Pakistan. We, the government of India, even in the past, whosoever remain in power, whether it is NDA or it is UPA, every time our government, central government tried to have a very friendly and cordial relations with the Pakistan, but it is the Pakistan who is the den of terrorism, who is the creating problem, who is the trouble. Nobody can take the guarantee of Pakistan. Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji went to Pakistan once, but what Pakistan did? Pakistan attacked Kargil.
Right.
And even when Modi ji went to the Lahore to attend the marriage ceremony of Nawaz Sharif, Pakistani targeted Pathankot, Uri, Nagrota army camp attack. So nobody can take guarantee of Pakistan. We must taught Pakistan a lesson what Pakistan understands. We have to teach Pakistan in a language what Pakistan understands. And one thing is clear, that Pakistan don't understand the language of diplomacy and dialogue.
Mr. Raina, thank you so much for speaking to us. As you made your point that diplomacy and dialogue is not the way to go ahead with Pakistan, that's your take on it. Your coalition partner disagrees. We are also joined by Mr. Jain, who is a senior police official, DGP of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Jain, thank you so much for speaking to us. We see this offensive happening on the border. 5 civilians dead, heavy shelling happening, and there's a repeated attempt to push in terrorists. As far as the state of Jammu and Kashmir, give us a sense of what is happening on the ground, if there are any reports, preliminary reports which have come in, and are you also expecting, what are you expecting in the state as far as the internal security of the state of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned? We'll try and get that connection with Mr. Jain back. He would give us more details about how those operations are panning out. But Gaurav Sawant, our executive editor, continues to be with us. Gaurav, the civilian deaths continue, the security personnel and all of those offensive on the borders continue despite mounting economic and diplomatic pressure on Pakistan. Now, Brigadier Mahalingam says that economic sanctions make no difference, and Colonel B.N. Thapar says that Pakistan just has one language in which they understand. How do you see this entire situation right now? What is the way forward? And this shelling that we see on the LoC, do you think this strategy by Pakistan is going to stop anytime soon? All right, we've lost that link with Gaurav Sawant. He'll get us more details about how this entire operation is panning out. My colleague Sudhi Ranjan Sen joins us live this morning. Sudhi, 5 civilian dead and this entire offensive on the border continues. Give us a sense and perspective of how do you view these developments?
Well, to begin with, I mean, this cross-border firing, as we have seen from, since last year, it has been peaking.
Right.
Last year alone, we have seen about over 850 ceasefire violations. This year, till about February end, it was around 300. So the ceasefire agreement, 2003 ceasefire agreement between India and Pakistan doesn't exist anymore. India has taken a very, very provocative approach, or rather a proactive approach, when dealing with Pakistan along the border. The reason is that infiltration continues unabated.
Right.
And the forces have been told very clearly that they need to handle it with an iron hand. Therefore, the military and the BSF, which mans the line of control and the international border respectively, are very, very clear that, they will strike Pakistani posts that are helping terrorists infiltrate. They will punish Pakistani army, because the understanding in New Delhi is that just killing and eliminating terrorists with, once they infiltrate is not enough. You need to hurt the Pakistan army. You need to send back enough number of body bags into Pakistan. Therefore, making them realize that sending in terrorists is not an option. That seems to be the proactive approach of India. And in the past, we have seen that India had also kind of evacuated most people from villages within 5 kilometers of the border to prevent civilian deaths. So, as the 15 Corps commander a few days ago had told me that nobody wants these casualties, but this is something that we have to accept. We'll have to take it, and we have to continue hitting Pakistan till there is some kind of understanding from the other side that, sending in terrorists is not an option.
So the diplomatic ties with Pakistan are on a low right now. You've seen that standoff with the Pakistan High Commissioner being asked not to return to Delhi. So clearly, as far as the diplomatic channels are concerned, it doesn't seem very hopeful. In keeping that into mind, and also a very crucial factor, the economic sanctions, do you think that will have any sort of role and pressure in creating a pressure on the Pakistani army, especially with the US taking a very tough stance, or that continues to remain a political rhetoric from which Pakistani army can very conveniently distance itself from?
No, under this government, I wouldn't say it is a political rhetoric. I mean, because we have also seen the government making noises about the Indus Water Treaty some time ago. And mind you, Indus Water, the water sharing agreement, although one of the the best examples of how two nations can share water is something that really hits Pakistan, and that is one of the triggers or switches that we have used in the past to make get some sense into Pakistan.
Right.
The diplomatic role is there at the current moment, but the understanding that we get by speaking to our sources.
All right, so as you point out that the diplomatic ties are on a low right now, and that's going to be one of the crucial factors. We'll keep tracking this big story. 5 civilian deaths and the ceasefire violations continue on the border. But for all the latest news and developments and getting any update on the story, you can log on to our website, indiatoday.in. Don't forget to download the India Today app on your smartphone. That's all in this edition. Thanks for watching.
You are watching India Today.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.